YouTube, welcome to my channel. You are now tuned to Briz. If you haven't already, turn on your post notifications so you can be notified when I upload my next video, and let's jump right in. So to start off this cut, I'm gonna go on my Andis T outliners, setting that first guideline. And as you guys know, the same thing you do on the sides, the same thing you do on the back. As can see, as I'm setting this guideline, I'm using that comb to make sure I get any leftover hair. Now that we have went ahead and set all of those guidelines, I'm about to go in with my half guard. I'm going up about a half an inch, setting that first guideline. As I'm setting that first guideline, as you can see, I'm making sure to scoop out so that I see where I'm at within that guideline. This helps because you don't want to overextend that first guideline and go up too high, because then now you're in a range of a 1.5 or a 2 guard and you haven't got there yet. As you know, the same thing you do on the side is the same thing you want to do on the back. I'm going up about a half an inch with that half guard, making sure to flick out. It also really helps to make sure that you keep the shape of whatever the client wants, because some clients want to keep more length in the back or keep more length on the sides, but whatever it is, you just want to make sure that you don't overdo it. Scooping out really helps to make sure that you keep that 90-degree angle within the haircut so that you're not going too far up. Now I'm going to go in with my 1.5, just clearing out that middle portion, setting that second guideline. I went in with a 1.5 right here because, as you can see, the client hasn't gotten a haircut in a while, and going in with the 1 would be kind of risky, especially considering it's going up a little bit high, almost closer to 2 guard. Whenever you go in with the 1.5, it doesn't cut as much as the 1 guard, so it kind of gives you some leverage so that if you did go up a little bit too high, you still got a little bit of room to work with as far as the 2 and the 3 goes. One thing they say that you can always cut more hair off, but you can't put it back on, so it's always important to consider that. Now I'm going in with that 2 guard, just flicking out, really bringing in the shape of this client's haircut. As you can see, he's really going for more of like a blowout. This blowout as well, he's really looking for it to be proportionate with the shape of his head. So as you can see, we're doing clip over comb. Because the client does have really curly hair, you want to make sure to utilize that clip over comb to make sure that the hair is not just hanging over the taper. This is really important to really make sure that the taper stands out and that you can actually see all of the small details. As I'm utilizing clip over comb, I'm making sure to use that comb as somewhat of a guide throughout the haircut to really help guide me and allow me to pick back up where I left off at. Right here, I'm just coming back with the 2 guard, making sure that everything is even. It's really hard to be inaccurate whenever you go over your work and make sure to critique every single detail. It all adds up. change the whole idea of the haircut. And what you do outside of that is you either go up with a higher guard number, or you pull out your shears and you do shear over comb, or you can even do clip over comb. In this instance, we're just focusing on clip over comb because we're gonna do shear work last. Think of clip over comb as like a custom feature that only you're able to provide that client with, because you can't really clean out the hair on the sides so the hair is hanging over the top with just the clippers alone. So that's why you add the clipper with it, because it really allows you to gauge how much hair you're cutting off and making sure as you're cutting that hair off, it's blending in at the same time. Half guard, about a half an inch. I'm starting out with the lever midway open and I'm slowly closing it, trying to slowly debulk that bottom guideline without taking the guard off. This really helps to soften that guideline, because if you're just going directly with the guard, you could potentially cut out too much hair, and it just kind of preps it so whenever you do go on with the guard off, you're able to just blend it right in. As you're slowly and surely taking away that middle guideline, you want to make sure to stay around that area. You don't want to go too high up, because then you're going to start working in a different area, which is the 1.5 to the 2. So it's important to stay as low in that middle guideline as possible so that you don't overextend the fade. Taking out that guideline as well, I'm really focusing on using the corners of the blade to have a lot more precision whenever it comes to taking out that guideline, because just going straight in kind of defeats the purpose. You almost want to use it like you would use a pencil. It just gives you a little bit more control and sense of direction. Now I'm just going to go back with that 1.5 guard, slowly taking out that middle guideline, just getting it ready to come back with that 1 guard. Right here is more like a preference thing, but every barber is a little bit different in their own way. For me personally, in this haircut right here, I want the fade from top to bottom. So I want to focus on softening up that middle guideline before I blend it into the bottom, because it gives you a little bit more flexibility throughout the haircut. So in case maybe towards the end of the haircut, the client decided, oh, well, I want to add a design or a line in my hair, you're able to do that. Plus, if you want to just continue to stretch the haircut out or the blend out, then you have a little bit more room to do that. Also, while I'm using this 1.5, you can see I'm slowly opening and closing the blade. Whenever I get a little bit closer to the bottom of that middle portion, I'm closing up a little bit more to go ahead and prep some of those hairs before I go in with the 1 guard. Now I'm still going back over the 2-guard, just making sure everything is even, cleaning behind the ears a little bit to make sure that everything transitions smoothly, and going from there. Already made it this far into the video, man, I really do appreciate you. Go ahead and cut on your post notifications, like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what kind of haircuts you'd like to see moving forward. There's one thing about cutting hair that I really do find intriguing, and that's that you can have this vision in your mind, and before you even finish the haircut, you already know how it's going to come out. And until it comes out the way that you have it envisioned in your mind, you're not satisfied. It's a beautiful thing about this, man, because same thing with life. You have a vision of who you want to become or who you want to be. And until you get to that point, there's like this hunger inside of you that will never die out. As I'm navigating through life, man, I've realized it's really important to figure out what kind of people are in your circle. You know, there can be a fire and you got that one person that'll help you to distinguish the flames, or you got that one person that'll continue to add to them, and it's nothing like a wildfire that continues to spread. You know, it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. But you got that one person that'll blow out the flames and everything starts to calm down a little bit. It's really important, man, because those are the people that'll really help you get to the next level. You're literally a sum of the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're hanging around 3 millionaires, you're likely to be the 4th. If you're hanging around 3 nobodies and people that want to just be lazy and complacent all day, you're likely to be the 4th. And so far and so on. But to be honest, is that really what you want? To be lazy and complacent? To have this vision in your mind of who you really want to be and never become that? Better yet, what about what you want or who you want? Are you even a person capable of attaining those things? Do you have the necessary habits and routines to make that happen? Or is it just a mere fantasy? All that I'm doing right here is just a lot of detail work, just blending in that middle portion down to the bottom. As I mentioned earlier, I'm fading from top to bottom. I've kind of already established a good amount of weight out in the middle portion from the 2 to the 1.5. So now I'm just going in with the half guard and the 1 guard, and even with the lever open, just to go and clean out the rest of that bottom guideline and blend it into the middle guideline. But yeah, man, I just want to share something with you guys as well, because that's one thing that I find to be very important, is make sure that nobody wastes their time. And any one of my videos that you ever click on, I want to make sure that you get something out of it. And I've been reading a lot of books lately, and one of the things that I got from one of the books that I've been reading by this author named Napoleon Hill is those thoughts that you consume daily, whether it's positive or negative, they add up. It even ties into this other book that I've been reading called The Compound Effect. And every single day, you're either working to become a better person or a better version of yourself, or without you even knowing it, you're slowly declining. And I just think it's important to know that you have every right and every opportunity to control the decisions and the habits that you do every single day. Before I started feeding my brain with more and more knowledge, I felt as if I was moving, but with no direction, not even a clue of where I'm going. Eventually you hit a dead end and realize you're not where you want to be at all. But then you pull out the GPS and put in the location of where you're trying to get to, and it shows you how long it'll take to get there. It gives you many options. You can drive, walk, ride a train, or even ride a bike. The point is, it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you reach your destination. As long as you have a clear direction and plan on where you want to go, and how you're gonna get there, that's all that matters. And even down to more of a personal way of thinking, whenever it comes to relationships, there's times where you're holding on to something that you know deep down inside you need to let go. But why haven't you let it go yet? Do you not trust yourself enough? Do you not trust the Most High enough to know there's something better literally waiting for you? You gotta believe in yourself. A lot of the reason why you're moving in no direction is because you don't have belief in yourself. And to be quite honest, if you don't believe in yourself, how can anybody else? If you don't show them who you are, then who will? But if somebody else believes in you, that means it's something they can see in you that no one else may be able to see just yet. What will you do? Let them down too? It's one thing to let yourself down, but you won't fully flourish and become who you're truly meant to be until you realize that it affects everyone you meet and everyone you know, whether good or bad. What will you do? Will you let everyone that believes in you down too? Or prove to them that what they see in you and what you see in yourself will come to life? Allow them to see that it's possible too. Back to the video though, as you can see, the fade is really starting to come together. You see that 1.5 going up into that 2, and also that 1 going into that 1.5 is really starting to blend into that middle portion smoothly. Slowly starting to bring everything together. It's looking really, really nice. Making sure to clean that hair and that bulk that's behind the ear, because that's just as important as a fade that's below the ear. And just really, like I said earlier, it really helps to bring everything together. So if you just have a lot of bulk behind the ear that's not blending into the side, it'll look like it's just hair right there that hasn't been faded. So that's why that's super important. To the lineup, I really like to keep everything as natural as possible, not going too far into where the hair naturally grows, but keeping it right around that area and just defining it, making it more precise. Whenever it comes to cleaning out the hair behind the ear, you want to really make sure to pull that ear down, because if not, there'll be a couple of hairs that you'll miss, and the client, whenever they get home or they take a shower, it'll be very noticeable whenever they pull their ear down and check to make sure everything looks good, that a hair or two might be sticking out, and that's not something you want, especially if you want to continue to grow your clientele and build that retention rate. You want people to come back to you because you do some really detailed, amazing work. Those are the small things that really help to separate you from any other barber. Now, as you are lining up the client, make sure that you clean all the extra hairs that are surrounding the line as well, because there's a lot of hairs that you don't see, especially if you're just focusing on the lineup. But if you really just make sure to look closely, you'll see that there's always some hairs that are around her neck that you can clean up just by scooping out with the trimmers. Also, even if it comes to the lineup, you can still do some trimmer over comb. It really helps to get rid of some of that bulk and some of the areas where you really want the lineup to stand out at. I mean, because if I'm being completely honest, sometimes the hair is a little bit still too dark in certain areas, especially if you're trying to keep that contrast there. And it never hurts to go in with either a trimmer or a clipper to get rid of it, just so it blends in a little bit smoother. Now I like to go back in with the razor just to really define that lineup even more, because there's a lot of hairs that you just can't get as well with the trimmers. They really just bring that lineup all together. This right here is just a curl diffuser to add a little bit more texture into the client's hair, especially if they're going for more like a messy fringe on top. This is what you normally would use. YouTube, this is the cut. Thank you for staying and watching this amazing transformation. I hope that you really learned something from this video. And until next time, just remember, you are now tuned to Briz. Like, comment, and subscribe so you be notified when I upload my next video.